Okay. Well, great. Well, we have plane tickets, so we're going to Uganda. Hey-o. I'm excited. It's going to be great. We're going to talk about some cool cultural stuff, some purpose stuff today, which I'm excited to get into. But we're going to start off with just a few logistical things. First of all, everyone has taken the background check and passed the background check, which is great. That is green for everybody. So I guess we have no murderers or I don't know, bad people. We have no evil people or evil people that have been caught yet. We have all good people, only good people on our team. So that's great. Background checks are passed. Everyone has done the Sign Now documents. That's the Children of the Nation's policies, like the Child Protection Policy and Venture Policy. Everyone has done that except for one person. Anyone want to take a guess who it is? No, it's not me. I have to sign those every year, whether I travel or not, I think. It's Joanne Williams.
Yes, I don't think I did.
Okay. I'm just giving you a hard time, Joanne. I had Trish, our venture coordinator, resend that link to you. So if you don't see it in your mailbox, then try looking in your spam folder.
Okay.
Yep. And then for passports, that's next up. So Bolander family, you guys don't have to do anything. I just had Trish move your 7 passports over from your last team, so you don't need to do anything. And amazingly, Trish Candy, is it Candia? Am I saying that right?
That's okay. Perfect. Yes.
Trish Candia, who's on our team, already applied for a new passport, got a new passport, and uploaded her new passport, which I'm very impressed by. Thank you.
It arrived on my birthday. How about that?
Did it? A little birthday present from the U.S. government.
Yep.
Well, that's great. So everybody's done that except for Joanne and Deacon. Hey, Andy, can you hear us?
Yes.
Great. You made it.
I did.
Okay, so Joanne, I need the Sign Now documents and the passport, and Deacon, I need your passport to be uploaded. But everybody else, I've got passports, Sign Now documents, and background checks, which is great. Who here has either gone to the travel doctor already or booked an appointment? Nobody. Okay. Well, I just give you. Only overachievers would have done that by this point. We don't have any overachievers on our team, so that's okay.
They told me to wait until 4 weeks beforehand.
Sure, like in case something comes up.
I don't know. They said they wouldn't do it any earlier than that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. Maybe they're backed up, or maybe that's a policy. But that's fine. Just make sure that you are booking that travel doctor appointment to check to see what is recommended for anti-malaria meds and vaccinations. And here comes Deacon. Hopefully this works for him. Okay. Now, because of our schedule, we're going to get a pretty long layover in Dubai. And the airline is paying for our hotel, which is nice. It's included in the cost of our ticket. And for those team members that are going to be tired, because it is going to be I think it's a 14-hour flight or a 16-hour flight from Seattle to Dubai direct. For those people who are tired, want to go back to the hotel and sleep, all good, great. I will be trying not to sleep. I'll be trying to sleep on the plane and trying to see as much of Dubai as possible. So there's gonna be a group of us that are gonna go up the Burj Khalifa. I can't say that. It's the tallest building in the world. But I need to know if we have to get tickets for that in advance. So who wants to go up the Burj with me and Steve? Sydney.
I don't think everybody was wanting to do that.
Frazier,
Yes, sir.
when you got your count, I'll ask some questions about our undecided family members.
Yes.
Tim
Oh,
and
and
Joanne
Trish
want
wants
to
to
go.
go. Okay, I got Trish. And Andy wants to go. Got it.
Tim and
And
Joanne
Deacon.
want to go.
Tegan, okay. Oh boy, the whole team's going. Tim, Joanne. Okay, I don't know about Xavier because he's not here. Yes, Tony, what's your question?
So I know that I will want to do it, and I know Daniel will want to do it for sure. Do you know the cost? Like, should we just buy the tickets for our whole family, and whoever goes, and whoever doesn't, since we have to buy ahead of time?
You can. I think it's $50 a ticket. I'm still looking into it.
Well, it's more than I was
Yeah.
thinking. Okay. When do you need to know for sure? Like, when's the last moment?
I don't know. I've never done this before. So it's not something we normally do on venture teams.
Like
But,
24 hours? 24 hours? Can I get to
You might even be able to just like buy a ticket at the door. I don't know if it sells out every day. I don't really know. I know like when I like 15 years ago when I went up the Empire State Building, you had to buy it like the day before because they would sell out. So I would assume that it sells out. You'd have to probably get it at least a day or two in advance, I would guess, if you want to go.
But right now, you're planning to get the tickets for all of us. We're not on our own to get the tickets.
Well, you can be if you want. But I was just for the people that know they want to go for sure. I was gonna book that. I was gonna book those in advance.
Okay, that'd be my preference. I just need to circle back with the family first. So
Yeah, and there's no rush.
Do you know, I'm just Googling it real quick, but do you know if there's only stairs or if it's like a combination of stairs and elevator?
Well, if there were only stairs, we would all die
Yeah,
from a heart attack getting to the top.
2,900 stairs.
So there is it's like it's going up the Space Needle, except it's the tallest building in the world. It's just a bunch. It might be a series of elevators, like you
It
might.
does say it offers elevator access to various observation decks, including the top. Okay.
Yes, yeah, it's an elevator. It's an elevator, or it might be 2 or 3 elevators, or 4.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't know. Okay. Just curious.
Okay. Moving right along here. Okay, so I picked our projects for us because it was fairly obvious based on our team. Several of the projects required a certified teacher or a certified like a doctor or registered nurse, and we don't have that. So the projects we're going to do, one of them is called a center day, which is really cool. Sydney knows exactly what I'm talking about because he's done it several times. But it's a whole day of games, and there's a big meal, and it's a competition, and I think there's dancing and kind of some cultural activities. It's really fun. It's a great time. It'll be a great time of just experiencing, like, really, and people can just watch, and you can be a spectator or you can participate. But it's a great way to just really spend some high quality relational time with the staff and with the students. So that takes up most of a day. So center day, we're going to do a spa day for the staff, and that's where we really bless the staff who are working so hard all year with the kids every day. And so we need to start sourcing some spa stuff. And we need to figure out our plan for that. I'll be in touch with you guys about that, but it's basically like, manicures, pedicures for the ladies. And I don't know, I have to ask Sydney, what have you guys normally done for that?
Yeah, you have a station that sets up. That's one is we normally have like them peel out mask things. You clean their face and then you put it on, and then they lay back and do that for a period of time, and then you go over, and then there's a section where they wash their feet and give massages with their feet, and then there's another one that goes over for where they do their doing
Nails done?
finger, yeah, their nails, doing that, And then you've got a team of like the guys, some of the guys are normally the ones carrying the 5-gallon buckets of water to keep that rotated through. And then you have, we set up a prayer station where there's somebody, one or two, that as they go through, they can go over there and have prayer and talk to. And then we normally also send out Moses or somebody into town and get some of these yogurts because they really like these yogurt drinks. So we have them on ice and give them that. We have some candy that we give them, and it's just it's really a fun time because they love it. I mean, they
Great.
really do. They can't wait.
That's great.
So the thing is, they're just getting like I used to just get on Amazon and buy a bunch of those, whatever the name brand masks are. You know, we had Katie from Compass. She was a Mary Kay, so she would always get some stuff. But they also made little packets to give to every staff member, whether it be lotion or, you know, little something that they take with them.
That's
So,
great. That's great. It's such a good way to bless the staff, and the staff are there day in, day out, doing the really hard work of caring for the kids. They are there when, you know, when the kid wakes up in the middle of the night from a bad dream. They're on 24/7 with these kids in the home. And then, yeah, so center day, spa day, and then they need a new sound system and a new PA system, and they need somebody to like test it. So I think we have enough tech people on our, especially the young guys. I'm guessing some, like, between Daniel and Deacon and Matea and Xavier, somebody knows how to test that sound system. At least that's my hope.
It's not me.
Okay, it's not.
I'm
Deacon.
helpless when it comes to technology.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's Deacon. Definitely Deacon.
No, I struggle enough with just setting up the speakers at youth group.
We can figure that out though, Fraser. I think Steve
We'll get it.
Mercer's got it down. I know that. I can see him.
I feel
nodding.
like Tony, between you, me, and Steve, and Sydney, and everybody, we'll get it. We'll get
Yeah.
it.
I think Xavier does do sound at their church, so I think we're set.
Okay.
So we
Perfect.
bring duct tape.
And Daniel and Xavier should be joining as well over the phone, I think. I don't think they're going to be on video.
Okay. Great. And then the last project is a painting project called Colors of Hope. And we're going to get to, I think we're going to paint some classrooms. And then one day we'll be going to church in the morning at Truth Fountain, which takes a solid half of a day or more. So our itinerary is starting to come together. As I plan it out and get it more firmed up, I will send out email updates so you guys can see what's going to happen each day. Okay, so let's move to talking about culture and our why. Who's been reading the book When Helping Hurts? Anybody? Okay. I got Sydney and Andy and Trish and a little bit of Steve.
We run.
Oh,
We've read it.
We've read it.
Yeah, I've read it.
Yeah, you made us read it before.
I forced you. I forced you to read it. It was so enjoyable and so good that you don't need to do it again. Okay, so this is the fun part. Why are we doing this? Why are we going on this trip? Anybody?
You saying collectively or individually?
However you want to answer that question. I want to hear some answers. Why are we doing this?
Relationships.
That is a word.
Develop relationships. Work, support and encourage relationship.
Why?
That's where I've seen, taking the book, but also seeing it in Dominican Republic, working alongside, serving the people who are actually there doing the work, encouraging them. I mean, Children Nations is about transforming nations through the children. I don't have the wording correct right now, but really just, we're not there for the relief or for the rehabilitation. I think we're there for that third thing, developing the relationship piece.
I think a big part of that is the encouragement of the people that are there on the ground every single day. just being there alongside them. Know that we're there for a week, but also back home praying and praying for them and thinking about them and trying to help in other ways too.
Yeah, when we went to the DR last year, that was a big focus, kind of just off what both of these guys just said, of like, obviously the projects and everything are super great, but the relationship side and the encouragement for the people that are there every single day is a super important thing.
And I think part of that also is it encourages us as well to be more prayerful when we get back.
Mhm.
And it gives them something to say, somebody does care. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's a two-way street that I found that because you're more out. I mean, it's easy when you first get the stuff and you got a picture and it's like, okay. But when you get there and you put your hands on the teachers, the staff, the cleaners, I mean, whatever role they're doing out there that supports that school, it makes it more tangible, and for them as well, because now they really know that somebody else it's not just something that they hear about, it's something that they can live during that period of time, and knowing that you're going to come back and keep them in prayer.
What about if somebody said, somebody heard that we were going on this trip, and they heard the cost of the airfare is about $2,000 a person. They said, well, I can do some math. I can say $2,000 times 16 people is that's a lot of money. Why wouldn't you just send that money?
Or 2,000.
I was gonna say a number, but I was thinking about my next thought, and I was like, I'm gonna be wrong, and then Tony's gonna give me a hard time about it forever. That's $32,000. Why wouldn't you just send the $32,000 to Uganda, and then our local staff could do all these projects plus way more? That seems like a better use of resources. Why wouldn't you do that? This just seems sort of selfish to like you're like a missions vacation or missions tourism.
Well, I would say if you go back into the book, it's sort of like throwing something at something doesn't necessarily mean it fixes something. It's you put a Band-Aid on a sucking chest wound. Now, I mean, part of it is how it all fits together, and money is just a piece. Because again, I think for people, if they don't never have gotten there, I don't think you ever can truly explain, because without them reading a book like this or going there, they're not putting the pieces together and understand, there is no price on relationship. There is no price on what you leave them as far as encouragement that allows them to go, that kid that's walking 5 miles through the jungles to get to school every morning by 7 a.m., rain, no matter what the weather is. So I think that's where because we, as the book says, we as Americans say, let's just throw some cash at them. It'll be all right. So I think that's where when we talk to somebody, you build that piece up and saying, that's where, but hey, sorry, I talk too much, but here I was just saying, look at our economy. What have we done with welfare? We just thrown a bunch of money. Has it fixed anything? No. So off my soapbox.
I think it is always sobering to think about and count the cost, because it's, I think each one of us need to really, think through not just why we're going and have the experience of going, but also make sure that we're, there's a legacy in it for us as well, that we're, kind of building out a longevity or a plan that ensures we are thinking, talking, speaking, helping in other ways, even when we come back. So I think counting the costs is really important for us to, know what we're spending, what that money could be spent on, and that, it's an investment. We're investing in years to come.
Yeah, for us, I mean, that is really important, because that's why we have our kids coming with us, for I don't know, this is like the fourth time. I think the oldest two will be on a trip, and we just hope that that continues throughout their lives and they see what God is doing all around the world, and you know, really get a picture of a global God. And then, you know, hopefully they will support these things throughout their lives too, and continue the mission of transforming nations, whether it's through COTN or whoever else. But that's a huge part of it for us. But yeah, kind of like to expand on with what Tony was saying, when we're going and we're paying all this money, we as participants come back with a vision for what COTN does, and we see how these children's lives are transformed. We see how even the staff's lives are transformed. You know, they're providing jobs and they're providing mentorship for these adults that may not have a lot of hope or you know, ability to move up, so to speak, in wherever they are in their country. But us going there also, you know, provides for them, because part of our resources are providing for the staff to even be there in the first place and to provide for the kids to be there. And so it's not just about paying our airfare, but part of that money also supports all the programs that keep COTN doing what they're doing. And then we can promote it when we get back, and we can tell everybody, you know, the great work that's happening there. And then they can catch the vision, they can start supporting COTN. So the money you know, is a small thing in comparison to what God can do with it through like relationships and people supporting it throughout their lives.
See, you guys are too smart and educated, and you've been on too many trips that you already know the answer. So it's almost not fair to the other team members who are new. I should have made them answer first.
Just stop us talking, Fraser. Just stop us talking.
Well, I will. The only thing I mean, everything sounds great so far. The only thing I would say, because Sydney, I completely agree with that. You can't put a price on relationship, and Americans tend to overvalue money and think that money can solve everything. But it isn't just. I mean, I would say if we were just sending a check to a village, you know, or something like that, that would be kind of trying to throw money at the problem. But we have a capable staff in Uganda, and they have amazing people. They're people of integrity. They have projects that are waiting to be done. So if we just sent them a big check and didn't go, I believe that our Uganda staff would use that money wisely, and it would be well spent. So I think that the part you said about you can't put a price on relationships, and you can't quantify or calculate what that encouragement and that relationship piece is, I think that is absolutely true. Before I give you all of the answer that you haven't already said, does anybody else want to say anything? Trish or Andy? No.
It's the Switzerland example. I just can't find it.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell a story. So this is many years ago. This is maybe 14, 15 years ago. Our president, Chris Clark, was at a fundraiser at a house of a wealthy family in Kirkland. And this fundraiser at the time had organized this event. It wasn't me. I was just packaging meals in people's garages back then. And I was there at the event, and Chris, the presentation was really well done, and the stories were compelling. And this fundraiser, his name was Doug, and he had been talking to this guy who he knew was going to be in attendance. This guy was wealthy, had a lot of means. He just sold his company and retired. And Doug was hoping that he was going to choose to invest in a big way after coming to this fundraiser. And so they finished the presentation, and afterwards, everyone's sort of just milling around, talking, having drinks. And Doug brings this guy over to meet our president and founder, Chris. And Chris was shaking his hand and getting to know him. And the guy, the retired businessman, says, "Great presentation. I loved it." He's like, "I get it. Tell me what you need." And Doug's thinking, this is it. he's thinking, Chris, give him a big number. Like Doug can't say anything because he's standing right there, but he's just praying. He's like, give him a big number. And Chris looks at the guy and he says, I want your heart. And Doug was just floored by that response. And I told that story to my dad later, and my dad said, Chris asked for the biggest number of all. And that's really what our hope and our vision is for anybody that travels, is that we want people's hearts to be opened up to see what God is doing in another part of the world, and to be in relationship with these people. The venture manual, I think, has a line in it that says that the trip begins when you get home. Yes, we're going to do a few projects. Could we send money and have those projects be done without us? Absolutely. The biggest benefit, or the biggest way that we can help these kids when we go and spend time with them, is by what Allison said, advocating for them when we get back, is going to our church and say, hey, could I share about my experience? Or could we try to get some children sponsored? Having a coffee night with your friends. And that part of that is letting them know that you're going. So like Deacon, for example, if you tell your friends, hey, I'm going to Uganda, and when I get back, I want to get you all together and share and tell you what it was like. And then what's happening then is, instead of for your friends who I don't know at all, instead of them having to take my word for it or believe something on a website, they know you, Deacon. They're friends with you. They're in relationship with you. They trust you. And if you come back, now you're an eyewitness. And they're going to look at you, and they didn't go to Uganda, but they trust you and they know you, and they're going to say, yeah, I'll come volunteer at the warehouse, or I'll sponsor a child, or I'll talk to my missions pastor and see if the church wants to get involved. And that is how, honestly, that we have grown as an organization and started with one child, and today we have 5,000 kids. We don't have some big advertising budget. It's all been word of mouth, and people going and seeing it with their own eyes and coming back and sharing it with other people. That's it. And that's what we're doing. So the value is, and I admire anybody that goes, because you're choosing to open your heart up. And anytime you travel, your worldview gets stretched, and sometimes that's uncomfortable. I mean, I love it, but I mean, for different personality types, it can be more challenging than others. But when we get stretched, we grow. When we put ourselves out there, when we pray the prayer, God, what do you have for me on this trip? I've never heard somebody tell me that God, if I prayed that prayer earnestly, I've never heard anybody, when I followed up with them, I've never heard anybody say God didn't answer my prayer. So when we set aside time to serve the poor, to be with the poor, to learn from them, to receive from them, and to give to them, we grow, we get stretched out, we get drawn into what God's doing. It's an amazing thing. Wherever we spend our time and our mind and our energy, that's what we kind of become like. So if we are constantly reading the news, we'll probably become suspicious and fearful. If we are constantly spending time hanging out with people richer than us, we're going to feel poor. If we continually hang out with people that have less than we do, we're going to feel rich. If we hang out with people that are spiritually sound of mind and spirit, then we're going to get spiritual strength and grow and go from strength to strength by being around them. And the opposite is true too. So we're choosing to spend this time to be in this place around these people intentionally, and allow it to change us. And that's the point of going. Because when we allow ourselves to be used by God, we don't know what's going to happen. We can't predict the future. But that's the exciting part of faith, is stepping out and seeing what God has for us. That's the exhilarating part. It's scary a little bit. It'd be safer to stay home. But when you step out, that's where God meets you. That's why it's called faith. So I love these trips, if you couldn't tell. And I want us all to be crystal clear about why we're going. Because if anybody asks, I want us to be able to provide, to say, hey, we've thought about this. We've talked about this. Yeah, I have an answer. Here's why we didn't just send the money. Or say, well, that seems irresponsible, or that seems dangerous. Well, we know it's safe because this is the way we're going to travel. The next question is, I want you guys to start thinking now in your mind, what do I want to do with this experience when I get home? And is there anything I need to do now to prepare for that? So a lot of times people will go on a trip. They don't want to raise support, so they don't send out a letter fundraising from their friends. And then they go on the trip. It's very impactful. They come back. They want to share about it. But there's not very many people that want to listen to us talk for 20 minutes about our trip experience. And we want to talk for an hour about it. So if you don't want to fundraise, that's okay. Consider putting together a prayer team of people that are supporting you in prayer while you're going. And then those people are going to want to hear about your trip experience when you get back. And you could send out a letter or an email, or you could do a Zoom, or you could do a coffee night at your house. You can do whatever you want. But think now about what you want to do with this experience when you get home. I love, for Tony and Allison, I love what they're doing with their kids. They're using this trip experience to train and teach their kids about God's work in the world, about missions, about how the rest of the world lives. And that's an invaluable experience that they're going to have and carry. These kids are going to carry with them for the rest of their lives. It's an incredible teaching tool and training opportunity. And I would encourage you guys to think now about, what are the questions I want to ask Daniel and Matea and Julia and Isaac and Isaiah. What are the questions that would be good to ask them before we go, while we're there, and when we get back? And even maybe write some of those down. So by just spending a little bit of thought and energy and intentionality about the trip, it can be way more impactful to us and to the kids that we're going to go see. Any questions before I keep the sermon going? Okay. So let's see a show of hands. Who's seen extreme poverty before? Who's been around it? Anybody? Everybody. Great. All right. Guess we don't have to talk about it. If you haven't been around it, it can be shocking. Even if you've been around it before, sometimes it's shocking again, or you've never seen it at a certain level before. But again, that's part of being stretched out. And I want, if you need time to journal, or if you're tired on the trip, you can always stay back at the guest house. We're going to do a debrief discussion probably every other night. I don't do it every night. And talking about it and processing the trip. So we'll have time for discussion. But we will go out into the villages and spend time out there, because I want people to really see. And that's one of the great things about going on a trip like this, is that we're not going as tourists. We're not just going on a guided tour where everything's paved roads. We're actually getting to see the real Uganda, the way people really live. It's unfiltered, and it can be hard to, unless you're a crazy adventure traveler, to get that experience and to see that. And we're going to get to see that real. Okay, Tony's texting me an actual question. Yeah, I can check on that, Tony. I don't think they've changed it recently. I think it has been that, but let me follow up. Tony's asking so there's 4 levels for the U.S. State Department for travel. Level 1, 2, 3, 4. So level 1 is exercise normal precautions. Level 2 is exercise increase cautions. Level 3 is reconsider travel, and level 4 is do not travel. And Tony's saying that he looked it up, and Uganda is at a level 3 right now. Let me get back to you on that. I don't know if that's changed recently or not. I don't think it has, but I'll find out. You're on mute.
I texted you, Fraser, because I didn't want to freak out everybody on the call, but thanks for clarifying that over the.
Anybody should be able to look it up. Yeah. No,
I just didn't know if it was something that's always been there, or if it's new.
Yeah, I would. You know, I really rely on our staff to tell us if it's not safe, and that's what we do for all of our teams.
Okay.
Because they're local on the ground, and the U.S. State Department has a matrix of different factors that they consider to come up with that number, and our staff have a much deeper cultural understanding of current events, and so I would go with their recommendation
That's good.
over the State Department. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we've got 15 more minutes here. Before I go into the next section, does anybody have any questions about being in another culture, doing ministry in another culture, spending time in another culture?
Are there any, like in the DR, it was a lot of the dudes would kind of wear just long pants for most of the time when we were out in the villages because it was more culturally accepted. Is there anything like that in Uganda where we're going where we kind of need to be aware of some things maybe not to do?
Yeah, and that's in the venture manual. There's a whole dress code in there to help you kind of guide you. They are a more formal culture than we are. We're more casual and relaxed, thanks to, I don't know, the West Coast, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg wearing hoodies. I don't really know why. We're just more relaxed and casual in our dress. They're more formal. So out of respect for their culture, it's there's a dress code in the venture manual that should answer all your questions. And if you read through that and you still have questions, you can let me know.
Does that list our luggage style or whatever, the luggage quantity? We have to bring duffel bags and stuff like that, or what?
What's the question, Tim?
You have to bring like duffel bags or suitcases or what?
And yeah, any luggage you want is fine. For bags that are going to be full of donated items like smile packs or Bibles that we're transporting or sponsorship mail, Children of the Nations has really, really tough, thick, like military style duffel bags, very durable duffel bags that we will provide for those. But for your own luggage, you can use whatever you want. Okay. Next question is, how will we know if this trip is a success or not, or a failure? How will we know? Don't all answer at once.
Well, I'll throw up. Well, I think that's a why. I mean, I don't think there's a defined answer for success on a mission. I think success is going to be a continuation of we get there, we do, again, staying true to the foundation of why we're going. And I think it's a continuation that continues that if we as individuals, if you're talking from an individual perspective, continue to sort of what you talked about earlier, with our prayer and our outreach and, being I don't want to say disciple, but being more of an ambassador to the COTN cause, you know, that will either push us to another gear, you know, with excitement for those that hadn't been there before, and allow you to even maybe immerse yourself, whether it be, you know, like for me, after the first time, I really made me a more on focus to get right cards and letters more often.
Yeah.
Just seeing that encouragement when they got one, when you see them, like, it's so important. Even if you just do a thing of stickers for them, they stick them all over their face and their friends. And so that just, you know, to me, that's sort of, so success is, I think it's going to be an individual thing. But again, from my trips, when you see the tears when you leave of the people that you've been there with, that sort of, you know, seals that you've made an emotional, or you've made enough of a relational, and that they hope you come back and knowing that you're going to be praying for them. So that's my 2 cents.
It's great.
I also think just kind of as a comfort, and this was really any ministry, but it's really completely in God's hands. You know, he'll use, like, we could be horrible at what we do, and God just is willing people, and he's going to use that. And so I think, especially because he puts such an emphasis on caring for the least of these, and where we're going, this is, you know, place of poverty. And so I think just kind of entrusting it to the Lord, and obviously being in prayer for this, but really it's God who's working in our hearts and in these people's hearts that we're going to serve. And you know, if we have the right, you know, mindset going in, and the right heart going into this, I think we can trust fully that God's going to use it however he wants to, and in some really powerful ways.
It's great. Steve, I could see the gears turning inside your head, like maybe you wanted to say something, but you weren't sure.
No, I think it's a great question, because I think it's like, yeah, how do you define success for a trip like this? That's what I'm thinking through that. That's the question, isn't it? And it's, you know, going back to how do I decide how much did my heart change as a result of this trip? That's kind of, you know, it's like, it's hard to quantify, I guess.
Yeah.
I agree with everyone. I am going on this trip as a learner. This book has just been mind-blowing to me, actually. Been doing everything wrong. So yeah, I'm going as a learner, and success to me will be just that, like, as a teacher, now I'm the learner, and yeah, and glorifying God as we go through it step by step.
It's great. Allison, if you're saying something, you're muted.
No, I was
Well,
asking Tony something.
So we do have listeners in here who don't want to be on video.
Two females.
And I promised that I wouldn't put her on video.
She said, "Oh, that's right. Just got out of the shower."
But
hello, other people.
Matea,
I can't see.
Matea did comment just on, you know, kind of the opposite. If you're not impacted by a trip like this, then it probably wasn't a success, you know. So you're looking for that. Are you impacted? And yeah, it's going to be tough to measure, but you'll know. I mean, you'll know at the end of the trip. And I love, Trish, the learning comment. That's really, really great. I mean, we will all be learning. I'm excited about that.
No, absolutely. Those are great answers. Again, this is going to be a fun team, and kind of an easy team in that way, because you guys are really smart, really thoughtful. And I'll say, the reason I bring this up, and then I want to talk about this far in advance of ever getting on the plane, is because if we go into a trip like this and we use the normal metrics for success and failure that we have in our everyday life, here in our American Western world, we will probably be disappointed. And at least when we come home, consider part of the trip to be a failure. And so that's why we need to reorient our expectations for the trip and think about it in a different way before we go. So Americans tend to judge success and failure like, were things on time? What did everything show up on time? Was the bus on time? Were the flights on time? Did my TV monitor work? Was there a good selection of movies on the plane? Was the hotel clean and comfortable? Was the food to my liking and taste? And if we use those metrics, or we could even say, like, let's say we have a list of projects we're going to complete, and we're going to paint these classrooms, and then we show up and they've got the wrong paint, so they have to take it back, and then they can't get the right paint, so we don't end up painting any classrooms. So we say, well, that was a failure. We come back and say, well, how was the trip? Well, we got some projects done, but then some projects, we didn't get done. So we just did, we didn't do them. And so I want us to think about the trip in a different way, because we can't control everything. We can't control the weather. We can't control the supply chains where we're going. And there's always unexpected things that happen. There's always flight delays, or there's the hotel isn't what we thought it was going to be. And we have to be prepared for those things that are unexpected. But when we think about it, we have to put that in a separate category of, okay, that's a travel inconvenience. And if we think about success or failure, I would posit, I would suggest and present to our team that the goal of the trip is to get to know the kids and the staff. So if we spent the whole time completing the projects and ignoring the kids and the staff, I would actually call that a failure. Oh, we got all of our projects done. Look at how productive we were. We were so efficient and effective as a team. But if we just spent all this great, rich time with the staff and the kids, getting to know them and learning their stories and being in their world and opening our hearts up to them and hearing about eating their food, and they got to know us and we got to share our story with us, and we didn't accomplish any of our projects, I would consider that a success. So it's not about accomplishing tasks, which is so hard. It's almost impossible for American Westerners to get out of that mindset, because we're so task-based in our cold culture. It's almost impossible for us to get out of that task mindset. But my challenge for you is to try to shift away from a task mindset over to a relationship mindset, and say it's about spending time with people. It's about connection points. It's what I said the last team meeting. The wall that you build 100 years from now will fall down, but the relationships that you build while building the wall will last forever. That's true, and I really believe that. You remember the story I told last time about my friend Brandon Beard? Their team spent the whole time building the classroom, and they get to the end, and Pastor James like, all right, are you ready to go down to the lake and get some ice cream? He's like, I really think we need to finish this classroom. And Pastor James looks at him and he says, are you even interested in getting to know us at all? And that was like just a knife right into the heart of my friend Brandon. And from then on, he ran all of his venture trips differently. And I even checked in with him a few weeks ago about projects. And he said he's at the point now, he's like, he doesn't really do hardly any like hands-on projects. He'll do like a center day and a spa day. Like Sydney, you've traveled with Brandon, so you know. The focus is hanging out, being there with people, telling jokes, praying, talking, right? That's what it is.
Whatever we could do to integrate into their daily operations, whether it be if they were having mentor sessions with, some of us would peel off and go sit in some of the senior boy mentor sessions, or the women just to be part of, so whatever you could do to integrate in, that's, like I said, we only did spa day. That was the only real thing we did. And run around like chickens with their heads cut off during center day, which just means bring a lot of Advil.
So I want us to change our thinking and reorient our expectations when we think about success or failure. We've had people go on trips and then come home and say, well, the flight was delayed and we didn't get half our projects done, so it didn't really work out. It wasn't good. And that's just a wrong way to think about it. Even if this is your only trip to Uganda and you never come back, if you can, like Sydney said, if you can look for opportunities to open yourself up and integrate in and be with them and be present and extend yourself. And yeah, it's gonna take effort. Trips like these are actually kind of emotionally exhausting if you do it right, because you're in another culture, so you're in another environment, so you're kind of low level on kind of high alert all the time because everything is new, and you're just like Trish said, you're constantly learning every second, every day, and then you're in a different time zone, takes time to adjust to that. And then to be like emotionally available and present with people and learning about them and asking questions, it takes quite a bit of energy. We will sleep well. But I want us to think about, and again, like what Tony said, with impact, you can't force that to happen. The best thing the best advice I can give you is to pray that prayer. Keep praying that prayer. God, what do you have for me? God, what do you have for me? And then just dive in head first and be present. And it's going to happen. You can't force it, and you don't know when and where or what it's going to look like. But that's part of the beauty of it, is that it's unexpected and it impacts everybody in a different way. But it's good. It's good. And if we trust ourselves to God, who's a good God, we have to believe that he's going to take care of us and guide us through this. And it can be kind of counterintuitive. I'm going to go see something uncomfortable or scary, like extreme poverty is scary or uncomfortable, or I don't like it, or it's upsetting. But the weird thing is that what God always does, actually, if we can open ourselves up to him, God will show us something even more beautiful than we had in mind or than we imagined. And to me, that's what success is going in with open hands and open arms. Now, if the plane turns around, has a mechanical failure and turns around and the whole country shuts down because there's another pandemic, and we don't get to go, then I would call it a failure. I would call it a failure at that point. Then that's safe to say. But does that make sense about how we think about? We can't use the same metrics to judge our time as we do here, and also just because it's a different culture, so they have different values, and the transportation just is less reliable. The roads are not as, the infrastructure is not as good, and there's a lot of moving parts when you travel. So you really have to keep an open mind and be flexible to make it work. All right, there's the end of my sermon, and it's 4 o'clock. Any questions as we wrap up?
Is there a language barrier?
Yeah, for the younger kids and the older adults, there is, but we have translators. For the older kids, they speak especially some of them speak pretty good English, and some of our staff speak pretty good English. But absolutely, some people don't speak any English at all, and you will need a translator. But part of the trip cost is paying for translators. So if you need to talk to somebody, you'll know who the translators are. You just call them over, and they'll do it right there on the spot. You can talk to anybody.
Fraser, do you know what language they mostly are speaking? If we wanted to learn some of it.
Sydney, do you remember the name of it? I always.
Lua.
Yeah, Lua. That's right.
Yeah, just I guess it's Lua. That's
okay.
It's not luau.
No, not Hawaiian luau.
Hawaiian
Different part of the
luau.
world.
Yeah, it's like Apoya is like thank you. Amadri is I love you. You know, it's not really hard. Like Ibura Bear is like good morning.
And I think there's some You guys stick, that's awesome.
Nice. That's
I
cool.
think in the venture manual, it has a few words
Perfect.
that we can practice on the plane or before we go. Yeah.
Great.
And we'll get more into the practical what to pack as we get closer. Because I think the venture manual does a pretty good job, but we'll go over that list. Okay, so for our next meeting, this time slot seems to work pretty good. I'm going to say probably a month from now, looking at how does we did the day after Mother's Day. How about the day after Father's Day? The 16th of June from 3 to 4, 3 to 4:30. How does that look for everyone? I'm getting a thumbs up from Allison. And a slight head nod from Andy. A thumbs up from Steve. I'm getting a this with a yes from Andy. It's very confusing. It's very confusing. I'm gonna run with it.
I make it work. How's that?
Make it work. Thank you. It's really hard to schedule this actually. I think we're in 3 states.
Yeah.
Across 3 time zones. Okay, I'll send out the calendar invite. Thank you guys. Great work. I'm really excited. This is great. Keep reading the book if you haven't read it. And Deacon, I need your passport. And I'll send the calendar invite out. Great meeting, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Fraser.
Thank you, Fraser. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.